A very good afternoon to all the students of class 11. Today I take on the poem The Voice of the Rain, written by Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman was an American poet and his lifespan was from 1819 to 1892. His poetry highlights long poems in a blank verse form with no rhyme pattern as such. And sometimes in some of his poems we see mysticism being used. So I will read out the poem and explain it side by side. The Voice of the Rain by Walt Whitman. Now, if you look at the title itself, The Voice of the Rain. The rain is an inanimate object, that means, like we could say, lifeless. But here the poet has used the voice of the rain. So we can see that rain has been personified. Personification, the figure of speech, has been used. Now, as we begin the poem, "And who art thou?" said I to the soft falling shower, which, strange to tell, gave me an answer as here translated. So we see the poem begins in a dialogue form. The poet is asking the rain, "Who art thou? Who are you?" And strange to tell. Why was it strange? Because, a rain cannot speak as such, but it was strange that the rain did give an answer to the poet. And what was the answer? "I am the poem of earth," said the voice of the rain. This is an answer given by the rain. You can see the use of the word "I am." So this in itself clearly spells out the figure of speech, personification. I am the poem of the earth. Now, poem of the earth is another figure of speech, and that is a metaphor. Poem of the earth means, if you look at the word poem, it's actually creativity. Because when a poet writes something, the thoughts come from within, deep within. And these thoughts are encased in words then, and that is how a poem is written. So similarly, I am the poem of the earth. The rain speaks for itself. That is a creative form, the various forms of blessings that a rain gives. So creativity is involved in both, in poetry as well as in rain. So I am the poem of the earth, said the voice of the rain. This was the answer. Eternal I rise, impalpable. Eternal I rise. Eternal means a process that goes on forever. Eternal I rise, impalpable, untouched. No hands are not used in the process. Eternal I rise, impalpable, out of the land and the bottomless sea, upwards to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same. Now, before I explain these lines, I would like to tell you that this is a scientific process of the water cycle, which has been written in a poetic form. You know the water cycle, the land and the sea breezes, how when the the unequal heating of the land and the water, and how the air above the water rises and the cool air comes from the land to take its place, and then evaporation takes place. The land and sea breezes, and the process which involves evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. That's the water cycle. Water evaporates in the form of vapor, it goes up. Then when it reaches a particular height, it condenses. It condenses into droplets of water, which forms clouds. And then when the saturation point of the cloud is achieved, when it cannot hold on to any longer to any more drops of water, then it comes down in the form of rain. So evaporation, condensation, and raining terms to precipitation. So this is the cyclic form, and the poet has written it in a very poetic manner. Eternal I rise, it moves upwards, impalpable, untouched, where hands are not used, out of the land and the bottomless sea. So it is born like that. We have the two foster parents, as we can say, are the land and the bottomless sea. Bottomless sea means we don't know the depth. So right from the depth of the sea, it rises upward to heaven in the form of vapor. Whence then vaguely formed is it gets into a vague shape, because clouds, they don't have a particular kind of shape. I mean, they're in all shapes. So vaguely formed, that is the condensation, altogether changed and yet the same. These are the forms of matter, as we say, liquid, solid, and the gaseous state. So here we can see water changes into vapor, then vapor condenses back into water and comes down as rain. So upward to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed. I mean, the change is there in the state of matter and yet the same. It's like when you are cooking something and you can see the vapors rising, the steam rising. If you put your hand on it at a certain level, it can. What do you feel on the palm of your hand? You feel droplets of water. Similarly, you take out ice cubes from the refrigerator. So the ice cubes, after a while, they begin to melt. And then when you put back the same melted water into the freezer, what happens? It freezes back into its shape. So it's just this change of matter from one state to the other. So the water in the form of vapor, when it rises from the bottomless sea, and then it condenses and forms clouds, and though it is a changed state of matter, but it is yet the same. I descend to lave the droughts, atomies, dust layers of the globe. I descend. First, the water vapors rise upwards, and then when it rains, it falls downwards. So I descend, I come down to lave. Lave means to wash, to bathe. The droughts. Now, droughts are a condition where there is extreme shortage of water, and because of which famine also, we experience famine because of that. When there is no water, that means there are no crops because there's no water to irrigate. So the plants die. So I descend to lave the droughts. I come down to wash, to bathe the droughts, to remove the condition of drought when there is extreme shortage of water. Atomies, dust layers of the globe. Similarly, all the dust particles, atomies are the smallest particles. So all the dust that is around in the atmosphere, when it rains, all those dust particles settle down, and everything seems to be very clear and washed. And all that in them without me were seeds only. So, water is one, when we talk about germination, water is an essential requirement. So without water, now when you look at a seed, you don't know that a seed can hold a mighty tree inside, but that seed would just remain a seed if there was no water, if there was no rain, it would not be able to germinate. So here they say, and all that in them without me were seeds only, latent, unborn. So the life that was hidden inside, the plant that was hidden inside, that would remain unborn. It would not germinate. That would not be able to grow if it did not rain. And they would just remain as solid seeds. And forever, by day and night, I give back life to my own origin. And forever means eternal. And by day and night, throughout, continuously, it's a continuous process. And forever, by day and night, I give back life to my own origin and make pure and beautify it. So the vapors rise from the depths of the sea or any other water body that is there. And when it rains, it comes back. The rain falls back into the sea or the water bodies. So it gives back life to its origin from where it was created. And make pure and beautify it. Now this is a water cycle that they have depicted here, and these are the different blessings that the rain brings for us. And make pure and beautify, because it cleanses everything. It quenches the thirst of human beings. And when it falls on the parched earth, everything springs back to life. The dead plants or the withered plants, suddenly when there's rain, then they show signs of life in them. So the rain purifies, beautifies, it quenches our thirst, and we cannot sustain life without water. It's such an important part of our lives. And beautify it. Now when it rains, and the parched earth, and there is so much of growth, vegetation, the flowers that bloom, the trees that grow, which add to the beauty of the environment. Now, all this right from I am poem of the earth till beautify it. This is all that has been said by the rain when it answered to the question of the poet, who art thou? So a complete answer is given by the rain, right from I am the poem of the earth till make pure and beautify it. Now here below you see there are two lines which are given in brackets. For song issuing from its birthplace, after fulfillment, wandering, wrecked or unwrecked, duly with love returns. Now here, when we are talking about I'm the poem of the earth, that I said was creativity. Poetry is creativity because it comes from the heart and soul of the poet, the writer. His thoughts are put into words in the form of poetry. And similarly, when it rains, the vapors also rise from the depth of the sea. Now here in this poem, the poet wants to bring about a parallelism between the rain and the song, music. So, and both of them are very, very similar. Just as rain emerges from the bottomless sea, goes up and comes down, similarly, a song or music also generates or originates from the heart and soul of the writer. And any writer, all those are his thoughts that he puts down into words and in the form of lyrics or in the form of music. And both of them have a very, very soothing effect. Both of them are a creative aspect. So the origin of the rain and the origin of a song, they're both part of creativity. And in these lines, these two lines which are in brackets, this is not a part of the answer given by the rain. This is extra information that has been added for the readers. Something to say about the song. For song issuing from its birthplace, that is the heart and soul of the writer, after fulfillment, after it has done its job, fulfilled its purpose, wandering, it moves about, reckoned or unreckoned, means heeded to, noticed or not heeded to, unheeded or unnoticed. It comes back duly to the origin, to the heart and soul of the writer in its origin form, with love returns. Now here I would just like to add that music knows no boundaries. Music knows no boundaries. Like we as Indians, we sing all those popular Western numbers and we are very pleased and we enjoy them to the fullest. And a song moves about, it originates maybe somewhere in Africa or somewhere in America, but it comes down, to India and other parts of the world. Everybody enjoys them, so they're recognized, they're heeded to. And sometimes people don't even notice. People who don't have an ear for music, they might not notice it. But the duty of the rain and the duty of the song is to do its duty, what it was created for, whether it is reckoned, recognized, heeded to, or unheeded. It does its duty and ultimately it comes back to the creator. And how does it come back to the creator? With love and appreciation when it's sung all over. Like you have all these chart busters that are there, and there are certain songs that are always in the top 10 kind of a thing. So that is a sign of appreciation that a song is being liked. So both music and rain have a very, very soothing and healing effect on mankind. Just as rain also heals and soothes when it falls on parched earth, it brings it back to life. From a dead condition, it brings it back to life. When you see the flowers blooming, when you see the trees growing, when you see the vegetation around, it's so beautiful. Similarly, any piece that is created by a writer, it touches the soul and it touches the heart. and everybody appreciates and likes, and then it goes back to the creator with a lot of love and appreciation. Now, as I told you, the figures of speech used here, first, the major one is personification. The rain has been personified. Why? Because it is answering, it is talking, it's a human trait. And the next one is, I am the poem of the earth. That is a metaphor. Poem of the earth pertains to creativity. Okay? And the various forms of blessings that the rain gives, and the various forms of blessings that we see in a song or in a piece of poetry, because it has a very, very soothing and healing effect, just as rain. Okay. So it is a continuous process, the water cycle. It is a continuous process that goes on unendingly. One cycle is over and the next cycle begins. That is why it's eternal, because it is going continuously. And I rise impalpable out of the land, untouched, because there are no hands touching it or something. Similarly, when we talk about a song originating, that also originates from within the heart and soul. Wandering means wandering when it goes around the world in different forms, and how it becomes popular in other countries also, in other areas also, and people are humming it, singing it, or any poem that is written. I mean, everybody appreciates it. So, and then it goes back to the writer or the creator with a lot of love and appreciation. Okay, so I hope you've understood the text. It's a short poem but very meaningful, and the parallelism that is drawn is amazing. Okay. Now here there is a line which I wanted to do with you, and make pure and beautified. This means when it rains again and again, repeated rainfall, repeated evaporation and condensation and precipitation purifies the rain also, because again and again it goes through the same process. So it purifies the rain, and the entire atmosphere is beautiful and purified by the rain. You must have noticed sometimes you can't see the distant hills because there are lots and lots of dust particles in between. But after a rain, you can see the mountains or the peaks ahead and the area a little distant away very, very clearly. Why? Because the dust particles settle down and the air and the atmosphere becomes cleansed and pure. Okay. I would like to do a few question and answers with you. There are two voices in the poem. Who do you think they belong to? So the two voices in the poem belong to the poet and the rain. Okay? And the lines are, the poet says, "Who art thou?" And the rain repeats that, "I am the poem of the earth," said the voice of the rain. What does the phrase "strange to tell" mean? Strange, it was strange. It means it's strange that the rain actually gave him an answer. And this is an example of personification. Okay. There is a parallel drawn between rain and music. Which words indicate this? The words which indicate the parallelism are, "I am the poem of the earth," "Eternal I rise impalpable." So the rain is saying that the rain is also the poem of the earth, and it makes pure and it beautifies. Okay. Another question that I would like to do with you is, "I descend to lave the droughts and the atoms and the atomies." Now what does explain? I stands here for the rain. It is the rain that removes all the dry spells, the drought conditions, and it quenches the thirst of the people and also the thirst of the earth, the parched earth. It also settles down the dust particles to make the atmosphere pure. And it also beautifies, because all the vegetation and all the flowers and the plants and the trees, everything grows. And when they dance in the breeze, I mean, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. The next one I would like to do with you is, I give back life to my own origin. Explain. So when the rain rises upward in the form of vapors, from the sea to the sky, it gives back life to its own origin, because after it goes through the process of evaporation, there's condensation, and after condensation there is precipitation, and it once again comes down back to its origin, and another life cycle begins. Okay. In which mood is the poet? The poet over here is in a very happy mood and also in a curious mood, because he wants to have a dialogue with the rain. So a little bit of, he wants to know more, curiosity, because otherwise why would he have asked the rain, who art thou? So he wants to know more about it. That is why we can say that he's in a happy mood and he is also in a curious mood. Okay. The next question is, how does rain descend and with what effect? The rain descends as a part of the precipitation. It comes back to its origin and it settles down all the tiniest dust particles on the earth. It removes conditions of drought. It provides life to all on which it falls. It gives life. Otherwise, the seeds would have just remained latent, hidden, unborn, unnoticed. They would have just died in the seed only within and not been able to germinate. What does rain do round the clock? Round the clock means day and night, as we've seen in the poem. So the rain is a life-giving source. And it gives back life to its own origin. Then again, this is a repeat. It purifies, it beautifies, and it gives life to the earth. And it's continuously busy doing constructive work. What will happen if there is no rain? If there is no rain, what happens? There will be drought conditions, famine conditions, people will starve, people will die, the earth will look dull, barren, dead, without any kind of vegetation, and everything will look very, very dry. And all the seeds that are lying hidden in the earth, they will not be able to sprout or will not be able to germinate. And the dust and the impurities of the earth will multiply manyfold in the absence of rain. So rain is basically a source of life. Next question. In what sense does the rain become the voice of the earth? Now, when it rains, the earth seems to express itself in a beautiful way, and that expression is in the freshness, the coolness, and the beautification which comes with rainfall, the flowers blooming, the trees growing, and everybody seems to be happy. So that is the expression that we get after it rains, and the earth seems to express its gratitude or its happiness in the form of freshness and coolness, and when life springs back, into its beautiful form. And it is then that the rain becomes the poem of the earth. You can imagine a beautiful garden and with lots and lots of varieties of flowers and color and fragrance and bees and butterflies because of those flowers. And you can imagine a piece of land that is lying barren and parched and not a single leaf or a single plant is growing there. So you can see the difference in your imagination also. Justify the title of the poem. The poem is absolutely justified because the voice of the rain, because the poet has personified rain, and to underline the numerous blessings the rain showers on the earth, the blessings that we receive in the form of rain. Why? The main thing, as I've told you, everything, it beautifies, it purifies, it settles the dust particles, it brings an end to all drought condition, and it gives new life to the earth, and it becomes the poem of the earth. Okay. And as I told you, I would repeat the last two lines that are given in brackets is not a part of the rain's answer. It is just extra information that is given to the readers. Okay. So when we talk about the parallelism between rain and between song or music, so they both have unique qualities. When they fall softly, one on parched earth or dry earth and the other on the heart and soul. And they're life givers. Both of them are life givers. Without them, life would have been so dull and drab. And whenever we listen to good music, we listen to a good song, it elates us, it makes us happy. And we also try to learn the lyrics of the song and we sing along. And when we are in a joyful mood or even in a pensive mood, there are lyrics, there are sad songs also. So they both have a healing effect and they try to soothe us and they try to calm us. So that is the effect of music, and just as rain also calms and soothes us. Okay. Well, so the water cycle, the scientific process of rain has been very beautifully in a poetic manner been taken up, and I think that is all. So I hope you've understood the text and understood what the parallelism between both rain and song are, and I hope I have been able to reach across. Thank you very much for listening.